सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवते उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी. Today we are reading Canto 5, Chapter 3, Rishabhadeva's appearance in the womb of Meru Devi, the wife of King Nabi, from verse 9 to 20. Text 9. O Lord of Lords, we are completely ignorant of the execution of Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha, the process of liberation, because we do not actually know the goal of life. You have appeared personally before us like a person soliciting worship, but actually you are present here just so we can see you. You have come out of your abundant and causeless mercy in order to serve our purpose, our interest, and give us the benefit of your personal glory called Apavar, Apavarga liberation. You have come although you are not properly worshipped by us due to our ignorance. Text 10. O most worshipable of all, you are the best of all benefactors, and your appearance at saintly King Nabi's sacrificial arena is meant for our benediction. Because you have been seen by us, you have bestowed upon us the most valuable benediction. Text 11. Dear King, all the great sages who are thoughtful and saintly persons incessantly recount your spiritual qualities. These sages have already burned up all the unlimited dirty things and by the fire of knowledge strengthened their detachment from the material world. Thus they have attained your qualities and are self-satisfied. Yet even for those who feel spiritual bliss in chanting your attributes, your personal presence is very rare. Text 12. Dear Lord, we may not be able to remember your name, form, and qualities due to the stumbling, hunger, falling down, yawning, or being in a miserable diseased condition at the time of death when there is a high fever. We therefore pray unto you, O Lord, for you are very affectionate to your devotees. Please help us remember you and utter your holy names, attributes, and activities which can dispel all reactions of our sinful lives. Text 13. Dear Lord, here is the great King Nabi, whose ultimate goal in life is to have a son like you. Your lordship, his position is like that of a person approaching a very rich man and begging for a little grain. Maharaja Nabi is so desirous of having a son that he is worshipping you for a son. Although you can offer him any exalted position, including elevation to the heavenly planets or liberation back to Godhead. Text 14. Dear Lord, unless one worships the lotus feet of great devotees, one will be conquered by illusionary energy and his intelligence will be bewildered. Indeed, who has not been carried away by the waves of material enjoyment, which are like poison. Your illusionary energy is unconquerable. No one can see the path of this material energy or tell how it is working. Text 15. O Lord, you perform many wonderful activities. Our only aim was to acquire a son by performing this great sacrifice. Therefore, our intelligence is not very sharp. We are not experienced in ascertaining life's goals. By inviting you to this negligible sacrifice for some material motive, we have certainly committed a great offense at your lotus feet. Therefore, O Lord of Lords, please excuse us our offense because of your causeless mercy and equal mind. Text 16. Sri Sukadev Goswami said, the priests who were even worshipped by King Nabi, the emperor of Bharatavarsha, offered prayers in prose. Generally, they were in poetry and bowed down at the lotus feet. at the Lord's lotus feet. The Lord of the Lords, the ruler of the demigods, was very pleased with them, and he began to speak the following verses. Text 17. The Supreme Personality of Godhead replied, O great sages, I am certainly very pleased with your prayers. You are all truthful. You have prayed for the benediction of a son like me for King Nabi, but this is very difficult to obtain. Since I am the supreme person without a second, and since no one is equal to me, another person like me is not possible to find. In any case, because you all are qualified Brahmanas, your vibrations should not prove untrue. I consider the Brahmanas who are well qualified with Brahminical qualities to be as good as my own mouth. Since text 18, since I cannot find anyone equal to me, I shall personally expand myself into a plenary portion and thus advent myself in the womb of Meru Devi, the wife of Maharaja Nabi, the son of Angidara. Text 19. Sukadev Goswami continued. After saying this, the Lord disappeared. The wife of King Nabi, Queen Meru Devi, was sitting by the side of her husband, and consequently she could hear everything the Supreme Lord had spoken. Text 20. O Vishnudatta, Parikshit Maharaja, the Supreme Personality of Godhead was pleased by the great sages at that sacrifice. Consequently, the Lord decided to personally exhibit the method of executing religious principles as observed by brahmacharis, sannyasis, vanaprasthas, and grihasthas engaged in rituals, and also satisfy Maharaja Nabi's desire. Consequently, he appeared as son of Meru Devi in his original spiritual form, which is above the modes of material nature. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Yeah, Aradhya Mataji, whenever you're ready, you can start. Mataji.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today, we are going to continue to hear about the Rishabdev's appearance in the womb of Meradevi, the wife of King Nabi. So as you have heard already, that in the fifth canto, that the first 15 chapters describes the lineage of Priya Maharaj, and we are at chapter 3. You have already heard the story of Priyavrat Maharaj in the first chapter, Agnidra, and in the second, and now in the third chapter, you have already heard partially about King Nabi, who was the first son of Agnidra. So Nabi married Meru Devi and performed some sacrifice to beget his son. So we will continue from there, from text 9 today. So in text 4 to 15, it describes the prayers offered by the priests. Like, who are the priests? They are the qualified Brahmanas in prose. And then from text 16 through 20, it describes how Lord Vishnu appears at the sacrifice arena, and then he gives benediction to King Nabi. So we are starting at text 9. I'm going to refer to some of the purports as well, so that's why I'm sharing my screen. So in text 9 and 10, the qualified priest or brahmanas are saying to the Lord that you don't need this sacrifice for your pleasure, but we are performing this sacrifice to show our devotion, our dedication, and our obedience to you. And not that you are in need of any sacrifice. And then they are also saying that although that you have come here on the back of Garuda, as if you are curious to know what's happening here, but you are not in need of any sacrifice. It is our need, priests are saying, or brahmanas are saying, it is our need. The devotees need to worship Krishna, and it is not the need of the Supreme Lord to accept all our offerings. And they are saying that your appearance in front of us is the greatest benediction bestowed upon us. So in the purport of text 9, Srila Prabhupada, I'm just going to summarize. Srila Prabhupada describes how the Lord shows his causeless mercy. He gives an example of deity in the temple, which is present before us, because the Lord presents himself in such a way that we can see him. So when we go to the temple, we don't just see them as murti or some stone. We see them as the Lord's incarnation for us in this Kali Yuga. Just a side note, so as Srila Prabhupada notes about the qualification of priest, the learned sages who were priests at Maharaj Nabi's sacrifice were not only brahmanas, but were so qualified that they were like devas, demigods, and God himself. So if that was not the case, then how could they invite Lord Vishnu to the sacrifice arena, correct? So the priests who are performing the sacrifice had exalted position. So that's what Srila Prabhupada pointed out in the later verses, but I'm going to point out now so we know who the priests are, the qualified brahmanas are. In text 10, in the purport of text 10, Srila Prabhupada describes that the Supreme Lord is equal to everyone. He envies no one and not partial to anyone. So the Lord is situated in everyone's heart and observing and accordingly giving benedictions. So there is this saying that when we worship the demigods, they give us what we want. But when we worship Krishna, he gives us what he wants, right? So in the purport, it says that just like how devotees are very anxious to see the Lord, Lord is the same way towards the devotees. So the Lord appears for the deliverance and satisfaction of his devotees. So why did the Lord appear? Because to satisfy his devotees here. In text 11, or the purport of text 11, it says that your personal appearance is very rare, even for those people who feel very blissful in chanting glorious activities and attributes and qualities and names. So they are saying that even such devotees who are like very like gloriously chanting your name, they know your attributes. Like even such devotees may not attain your darshan. And they are saying that your darshan is extremely rare. But you have come here. But we are very sorry that we have performed this sacrifice with a material motivation. And then the priests are saying this is a materially motivated sacrifice. In text, or purport of text 12, there are short purports. So this is very important, and our prayer should be like that too, that they are saying, oh Lord, please help us remember you at the time of death. Srila Prabhupada says that we may be performing services at the temple, etc., but due to diseased condition at the end of life, one may not get to take Lord's name. So therefore our prayers to the Lord should be that please help us remember your name at the time of death. So we're always in like every day, every moment, we are waiting for our final exam, which is the death. So in order to excel that final exam, we should always remember the Lord. Our lips should be always vibrating Lord's name and not any prajalpas. In text 13, they said that, well, the priest, the Brahmana said that Nabi is not very intelligent. He had material desire. You know why? I mean, you may have heard in the previous that why he had material desire. It comes from like lust. So he has a desire to get son who is as good as you. So the priest said that to the Supreme Lord Vishnu, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada says that you can see it here, that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu right here has taught us how to approach the Supreme Lord and ask him for the ultimate benediction. He said, Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim, kavitam va jagad ishakamaye. He did not want us to ask the Supreme Lord for anything material. Material opulence means riches, a nice family, a good wife, and many followers. But an intelligent devotee doesn't ask Supreme Lord for anything material. His only prayer is, Mama Janmani Janmanishware Bhavtat Bhaktir Ahetuki Tvai. He wants to be engaged perpetually in the loving service of the Lord. So when we chant the Hare Krishna mantra, if it's offenseless, that mantra is saying, oh, please, Srimati Radharani, oh Krishna, please engage me in your loving, pure devotional service. So when we are chanting our Hare Krishna mantra in the morning, we should always pray to the Lord, please engage us in your pure devotional service. In text 14, in this purport, King Nabi, Srila Prabhupada says that King Nabi was no exception in terms of his material desire. So obviously, King Nabi had some material desire. He wanted son just like the Lord. And it happened because of influence of Maya. Why? Yeah, right. In order to overcome Maya, Srila Prabhupada says in the purport here that Sadhu Sangha Sarva Sastrikaya, Lava Matra Sadhu Sangha Sarva Siddhi Haya. And the second one, Mahat Kripa Vina Kauna Karme Bhakti Naya, Krishna Bhakti Dure Rahu Samsara Nahe Kshaya. So what this means is that if one is serious about escaping Maya's influence, it's in the purport, I'm reading it. And returning home back to Godhead, one must associate with a sadhu or a pure devotee. That is the verdict of all scriptures. By the slight association of a devotee, one can be freed from the clutches of Maya. Without the mercy of the pure devotee, one cannot get freedom by any means. Certainly, a pure devotee's association is necessary in order to obtain the loving service of the Lord. One cannot be freed from Maya's clutches without sadhu sangha, the benediction of a great devotee. And why should we why should we take shelter of a pure devotee? Because a pure devotee is niskinchana. Niskinchana means he has no material desire to enjoy the material world, and they are free from the clutches of Maya. So if we take shelter of such pure devotees, our material desires turn into the spiritual desire. So that's what we need to do. So in this purport, this is the purport that you should read, purport 14 and 15 for today. So what we learn from this purport is association with great sadhus, association with great pure devotees, and hearing Krishna Katha will help us get rid of our material desire gradually. And one day we can come to a platform of pure devotional service. In text 15, the priest said to the Lord, please tolerate our offense for calling to this materially motivated sacrifice. in the purport, Srila Prabhupada says that the pure devotee is anyabhilashita sunya. He has no motive behind his worship. He is not conducted by the influence of Maya in the form of karma or gnana. The pure devotee is always prepared to execute the order of the Lord without personal consideration. So, because the Brahmanas were so exalted, knowing all that, knowing all these things, the priest begged Lord's pardon. In text 16, 16 to 20 is the Lord's benediction to King Nabi. In 16, there's no purport. So the priest paid obeisances at the Lord's lotus feet, and the Lord spoke as follows in text 17. I'm going to read the translation because that's what the Lord spoke. The Supreme Personality of God replied, "O great sages, I am certainly very pleased with your prayers. You are all truthful. You have prayed for the benediction of a son like me, for King Nabi, but this is very difficult to obtain. Since I am the Supreme Person without a second, and since no one is equal to me, another personality like me is not possible to find. In any case, because you are all qualified Brahmanas, your vibration should not prove untrue. I consider the Brahmanas who are well qualified with Brahmanical qualities to be as good as my own mouth." So that's what the Lord spoke to the Brahmanas, how exalted they are, and why he appeared. In text 18, the Lord is saying to the priest or the Brahmanas that you prayed for someone who have a son like me, son who is equal to me, but there's no one who is equal to me. That's what he's saying. And I'm only equal to myself. So I will become his son. So Lord Vishnu's partial expansion. So he's saying, Lord Vishnu is saying, my partial expansion of me will appear as King Nabi's son, King Nabi and Meru Devi's son. Yeah, that's what he's saying here. In text 19, so this is just a principle that's been conveyed here, that according to the Vedic injunctions, one should perform sacrifices in the company of one's own wife. Religious ritual should be performed with one's wife. Therefore, Maharaj Nabi conducted his great sacrifice with his wife by his side. So that's just a principle that we need to know. And then in text 20, the Lord's partial expansion named Rishabdev appeared at the son of as the son of King Nabi and Meru Devi. And this form is above the modes of material nature. So those are the texts, but in conclusion, Srimad Bhagavatam recommends that some of the lessons that we learned from this chapter, that we worship Krishna even if we are plagued by material desires. Only worshiping the Supreme Lord can fulfill our material desires in such a way that we ultimately become purified of them and are finally able to take full shelter of Lord Krishna. So basically, whether we have material desire, whether we have no desire, or whether we specifically desire liberation, we should always approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna only. And how do we not have material desire? It is to associate with pure devotees and hear Krishna Katha. Pure devotees have no material desires. And when we associate with pure devotees, we develop their desire, which is spiritual desires. Their vision of the Supreme Lord, their way of seeing things, or their way of reading Shastras, their realizations of the Supreme Lord. All of that, when we follow the pure devotees, all of that rubs on us. So we should associate with pure devotees. Krishna is so merciful that if we give our best in any services that we do at the temple or anywhere, or in big distribution or preaching, wherever you are, at home, so if we perform our best, at our best, Krishna will definitely reciprocate with us. As we go deeper in our bhakti, all the petty and subtle desires will vanish gradually. So our focus should be on pleasing Krishna, because Krishna sees our devotion. So that's all I wanted to say today. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Thank you. Hare Krishna.